Hi, welcome to Bobby's Baking Blog. It's Bobby, and I wanted to show you this piped royal icing laced cookie with a beaded border. And the neat thing about this particular cutter, and it's an Orchard product, they call it LH2, which is the laced heart cutter, is I did it two different ways. On this one, I just put it on a piece of fondant and then attached the fondant to the cookie and went ahead and designed the exact same design with the exact same piping and the exact same brush embroidery as I did on this one. The difference is on this one I made an imprint of it. I scribed an imprint of it and it has a raised texture. So this one's raised and this one is a little bit flatter. But I got two completely different looks with one design. And then, of course, you could, if you wanted to, freehand it, look at the design and freehand it. But I just wanted to show you the neat things that you can do with this particular cutter. It's one of my favorites. So let's begin on the tutorial. Alright, so we're dry enough that we can begin to take our Petal Dust, which I'm using Very Pink for the inside, and Everclear. And this is about the consistency you want. And you're just going to paint the white part of your royal icing that you've done in the inside. We're going to do the border in a different color, so we don't want to paint that in this Very Pink. We're going to do a contrasting color since we have this beige background. Actually, it's more like a mocha background, I guess. And this particular design could be done on either royal icing or fondant. It would work just as well. I'm working with a number 0 brush, a soft brush, so that it doesn't break. And when I say soft, I mean the bristles, so that it doesn't break the royal icing, because we are working with a very delicate design here, especially the parts that are done with the 1.5. The smaller you go in a tip size, the more delicate your design will be. So you want to make sure that your brush is on the soft side. In fact, you want it to be as soft as you possibly can get for this work. If you work with a hard bristle brush, you're going to find that your pieces start breaking off. This is also a pretty detailed piping design. So I don't know if this is something you'd want to do for a birthday party for a child or Valentine's Day. This would be more for a special occasion. If you're going to put this much work into it, you really want it to go to a special occasion, somewhere where you know it's going to at least be able to stand through the evening without a bunch of hands touching it to break it. Now that doesn't mean that if you have a child at home you couldn't start teaching them how to pipe early on. Piping is something that Sydney started doing at a young age. But she was also a very dexterous child, so for her it was fairly easy. And now I'm going into, I have done the heart. Going back, I saw a little white space there. I've done the heart, I've done the little primrose flower in the middle, and I'm going back and doing the brush embroidery. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 0, and I know I've said that before, because because you would have a hard time getting in there if you had a 00 or a 000 in the brush embroidery. You'd be here forever. So nobody wants to be petal dusting, even though it's extremely relaxing. In fact, dusting, whether it's royal icing or gum paste, is one of my favorite things to do because it is so relaxing, and I love working with the different colors and mix and matching them. But obviously, if you have 100 cookies to get out, you don't want to be spending your time trying to get in there with a tiny brush. So I will continue to do the brush embroidery and the entire inside lace part of this cookie. And when we go to the other dusting color, which is old gold, I will bring you back so you can see that. So we're going to work on the border now, and I want to show you a trick. If you can't find your brush or can't get to it, I've got all this fairy pink on here. I am just going to rinse it off in the Everclear, which also sterilizes it because of the alcohol content. And then I'm just going to wipe it off on a clean paper towel. Because I'm working with the old gold. Now you can only do this if you're going to a darker color from a lighter color. You can't do it the other way around. So I'm going to make my consistency with my old gold. It's a little bit thicker than I want. Drop a little drop in there. And you can find these little bottles that I have my Everclear in at any restaurant supply store or online. I have all sorts of things in different sizes. So now I'm going to color the border, the bigger beads, or the bigger snail's trail, with the old gold. And you're pretty much doing the same exact thing. You want the same consistency in your old gold petal dust as you did in your fairy pink. I like the contrast with the pink and this almost bronzy gold, or a pink gold, I guess. It's called old gold, but to me it almost looks like a bronze, or if you didn't have bronze or old gold, I would take a bright gold and add a little bit of pink to it, and you would probably get a really close color to this. But I love the contrast that it's giving me on the edge there. So I will continue to do this and come back when I'm almost done. I want to give you a couple pointers for success. So I'll see you in a few. So we finished painting the border with the old gold, and some pointers for success. I want to talk about when you're painting your border, go the direction that your bead is going instead of fighting against it. Make sure you tuck down under here because you'll always find that there's some white. And then when you're going inside here, I always have a clean small brush. I think this one is a 20, so it's a 00, that I can dip in my Everclear, and if I want to, I just can lightly wipe it off of my surface. And when I say dip it, I mean like almost dry. Just enough to get that petal dust paint off. Other than that, it's pretty easy. It's almost like painting by numbers. So I thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.